Good morning, everybody. I think, first of all, we have very fresh and very fresh even morning. And it's good news that Mr. Dung have just arrived and attend the round table today. And because Marko and Dung already met and in the join many panelists, so I think it will bring air and fresh air to the sea. So first of all, I would like you, Marko and Dung, introduce yourself to the audience.
Oh, thank you so much. First of all, good morning, everybody. Isn't it a great morning in Da Nang? How many of you went for a morning swim? Only a few of you. Well, me too. Maybe I was hanging out too late in the nightlife here because Da Nang has both the morning swim and the evening pleasures. So I'm working on my third career. My first career was basically in the 1990s as a venture capitalist. I was doing some interesting early privatization and company creation things in Russia and Estonia, Latvia, the former Soviet Union. Then in 2000 I made a shift. I got my PhD in corporate strategy and I was dragged into doing things in university. So for the next 10 years I was doing all kinds of explorations around how to enable universities to produce business creators and enable business creation. Now my third career is somehow connected with the beach here and this opportunity here.
Excellent. Thank you, Marko, and you.
Yeah, morning, everybody. I'm glad to be here. I've just come back from Finland in the early morning, and I think Seppa is very exciting event. It's very interesting for ecosystem. So I'm glad to be here in time. My name is Dung. I'm the CEO of BKHolding. This is the first business model in Hanoi University of Science and Technologies. In Vietnamese, we call Đại học Bách khoa Hà Nội. This is the first business model in Vietnam, and today we will share some of our information.
Thank you very much, Dung. So the first of all, probably the main theme or topic of today of the round table is about university. So first of all, I would like both of you share with the audience about the roles of the university in terms of entrepreneurship ecosystem. Thank you.
It's a big question, ladies and gentlemen, to comment in the first place. My question is first of all this: what do we know? All of us knows a little bit of what each of us knows. I know a bit of what I know. I know something I don't know. But the question of what do we know? It means us together. What do we know as mankind? What do we know here in Da Nang? It's pretty much defined in our knowledge system by universities. Universities are the knowledge creator. You think to Middle Ages, was the world flat? Was the world like a round or globe-like? Big debate. University has been around, the knowledge creation has been there. And I'm personally very excited about finding the new question of whether the world is flat. I don't know if we have arrived to this question right now, but certainly universities are not equipped today. The approach in universities is not equipped today to produce the kind of understanding, the kind of knowledge, the kind of competence that what I call, or we call, entrepreneurship and innovation of what it requires. So this is my sort of opening line, that we have a challenge, but I think of it more as an opportunity.
Thank you. So do you think that the main role now is still knowledge creation, but they have not yet catch up with the trend and the change of the world?
Well, to be a bit more precise, I think obviously university, when it comes to creating enterprises, is more equipped. Universities equipped to produce and have competence around how to manage companies, how to administer companies, how to grow companies when we have some companies to grow. But when we don't have yet anything, from 0 to 1, we don't have almost anything for that, and we don't have an approach within university right now as we speak, really to address that. I'm sure we will go further into the topic of how universities are organized actually to do things around 0 to 1, but it is not anything that is related to university's core mission, what they do.
Thank you. We will come back with you more detail later. And Dung, can you share with us about the roles of the university?
Yeah, actually, I think the startup topic now is very hot in Vietnam. You can see a lot of this term in media, in everywhere. That now there are a lot of incubators, a lot of accelerators, a lot of investor VC, something like that. But I think the heart of the startup ecosystem must be the quality startup team. And so the role of the university, and in overview, the role of education is very important. In the Western countries, you can see that the student from the university is very familiar with the innovation and entrepreneurship program, for example. But in Vietnam, recently we have the IPP project from Finland do about it. So I think the education and the role of the university is very important and must be the heart of the ecosystem.
Thank you. And I would like to continue with the next question regarding your view about the engagement, current engagement of the university in Vietnam into the ecosystem. I mean, to what extent and how you think about that level?
I think from the pyramid of innovation and creativity, the basement is the creativity. And our education system must change the mindset from not only the lecturer, but also the mindset of the student. And recently, I'm in the board of the consultant for the Minister of Ministry of Education, MOET. And our government realized that our education system must deploy the E&I course in almost all of university. Yes, I think it's a good signal for us.
So I agree with you that it's very important for the engagement of the university into the ecosystem. But I would like you to share more about the level, how you see the engagement now. Is good or very low or medium or high level compared with the other university in the region at least?
I think at this moment, the university's role is in the early stage. For example, in our university, in Hanoi University of Science and Technologies, for more than 10 years ago, when we deployed the BKHolding, the business system in my university, actually, not only outside but also in our university, every profession and everybody sees us like a crazy guy. Yeah, and it's very strange about the startup, about the business model in university. But up to now, they realize the importance of innovations about the entrepreneurships in university. And you can see that now for the ranking of the university, the factor of innovations contain up to 30%. Not only based on the research about the publications, ISI, something like that.
It's 30%, right? Yeah, thank you. And what do you think about the engagement of Vietnamese university into the ecosystem?
I would say there are many things and many areas where Vietnam certainly is far behind much of the world still today. This area, on the other hand, is what is not really well developed in, I would make the claim, in any university, anywhere in the world. The difference between Vietnam and the rest of the world, and like Jeffrey was making reference to Silicon Valley, which is the ultimate benchmark, of course, for an ecosystem in our let's say, focus here. We want to understand an ecosystem. We want to understand for Da Nang and for surf, for this place to be the place for entrepreneurs to surf. We want to understand how something like Silicon Valley works. Universities in Silicon Valley, the best of them, I've worked with them enough to know that obviously the individuals in universities are themselves more aware of what it takes to build companies, but they have gained their position in university, doing something entirely else. They've published research which is different from creating companies. So it is just a sharp observation that this is an area where all universities across the world are in the same situation. And the fact of the matter is this. In Silicon Valley, the likes of Stanford, Berkeley, and the rest of the great universities there, they do not need to bother so much about what I'm talking about. Because the ecosystem outside the university is quite mature. They have, you know, the serial entrepreneurs, they have, you know, the homes, they have the culture by which enterprise creation is encouraged. But in frontier ecosystem, like Jeffrey is saying, well, all the way to North Korea, which obviously is perhaps the ultimate frontier on the globe. I cannot think of any other place than university where we have to take things more seriously. So if you want to change an ecosystem where you don't have those things around the university, then university needs to change. University is the place where we have discovered, first of all, that the world is not flat. It is a globe, it's a round thing. So here is a place, I think Vietnam can step up. Maybe Da Nang is the place to lead this you know, university change, so that the university would take this whole thing more seriously. Let me just continue that much to say that we often hear people talk about government. The government does something, government does something else. Corporations, they also do something, and so on. I agree, governments and corporations, we can talk about them in passive like this. Government, we don't have to think about a person, we think government. Even if leaders are important, individual policymakers are important. In corporations, you know, executives make a difference. You have a good CEO, but you have 100 people or 1,000 people well organized. So government and corporations are like, you know, something abstract, and you can talk about them in passive. But universities do nothing. Startups do nothing. It's the people within who do something. So now this boils down to universities. In universities, people who are there, they do what they are measured by. They do exactly what they're supposed to kind of do to get the merits and to get going somewhere higher, become a professor. So if university changes and opens up a new avenue, a different avenue for individuals to actually do within university, create differently. And like I know Prime Minister Phuc in Vietnam has been going around the country on a road show. I never was with him on a road show, but I always promised that whenever he first brought up the idea of having a new KPI for universities, the number of successful startups university activity produces, that somehow we could track the number of successful startups a university produces. If that's a KPI, then universities have to take this thing seriously. And so the question is, how can we bring the sufficient change inside a university? And I think this is something where Vietnam can lead the way, in fact. And being a Finn, a European by heart, and you know, having been around a lot, so I think this is a place where someone from Europe, from the United States, from Africa, from South America, could come here and learn something with the Vietnamese, right in here. So it's always someone else, like me coming over, or someone, you know, with a high horse. We come here, we tell you how to do things, you know, because we have something better. So, but this area is exciting to me. That's why I live in Vietnam. And I want to participate in this. I want to learn from here myself.
Excellent, thank you. And over last 1 or 2 years, you have a lot of opportunities to work with the university. So may I ask, how do you see, what is the more challenge of the university if they want to change, to produce more startups? So you can share 1 or 2 challenges.
Wow, the biggest.
About the mindset or about the system?
Well, it goes to the, I cannot help saying that it goes to the, obviously we know the university is, it is a very age-old institution, age-old, 1,000 years old. I mean, it has not changed during this time. Research and research-based education are those things that universities are there for. And that's a great mission, and I love university. Now, when it comes to creation of companies and entrepreneurship and innovation, we do have the field within university, which is referred to as entrepreneurship. But it is under science of business administration in entrepreneurship. So this approach is the application of scientific method to activities of men, and it doesn't produce enough results. So we need a new approach. So I think the biggest challenge, if you like, is the realization, the understanding that we actually need something entirely different to get going, to get further. So the biggest challenge is to open a new domain, that's in my view, within university. And it cannot be done by any one university, because they would laugh at one university. If the universities of one city, for example in Da Nang, if they're all in here, figured out, hey, this is something, we really want to do something, you know, on a global scale. So the Da Nang universities, and I know there's a number here, and I work with a few of them quite closely. If they came together in the power of the group, that would be wonderful. And then I know there are universities in all the great cities of Vietnam. There are individuals within, if we allow them, if we let them, they will connect. Like they do connect in Silicon Valley, they did connect the entrepreneurs. Jeffrey is saying that, from Colorado to news that, sometimes it is, we have to let them do it. So I think this is something university has to first acknowledge. We need this new domain. And next we have to let them. Those who want to become the new professionals of this new domain, we just have to let them emerge and come together and organize in a new way.
Excellent, thank you so much. And back to you, Dung, how you see the roles of the university and the engagement of the university in Vietnam?
Yeah, in the view of the science and technology university, we face a lot of problems and challenges, such as the mindset, as you mentioned, and one thing is the IP problem. It's based on the cultural and the traditional and in the situation in Vietnam, when we do the technology transfer activity in the university, for example, the intellectual property is a big challenges for us. In our system, we divide into 2 trends. One trend is incubate into spin-off, and one trend is to licensing and technology transfer outside. And the mindset about not only researcher and professor, but also the student, is they don't care much about the IP. So I think it's a very big problem for us. And the second one is the legal system. For our case, it is very difficult for us to raise the investment from our university and other organizations. BKHolding was established in 2008, and at first time we have raised only 2 billion Vietnam dong, only. And it is very difficult for us due to the legal system, because our university is a public university. And in our legal system, the government doesn't allow a public university to use public property to invest into spin-off, startup, or for the technology transfer activity, for example. So we must do on our own way to raise funds from other resources. And up to now, our revenue annually more than $5 million per year.
5 million.
$5 million per year. Yes.
Thank you for your answer. And back to BK Holding, you know, like Dung shared, it was created in 28. But unfortunately, BK Holding is the unit, the first, and also the unit model. But sometime I and my colleagues together we discuss about the model of BK Holdings, and not only University of Da Nang but many other universities. We always want to have one like BK Holding, but we see so many challenges, and we think about what is the best way to go. So. Can you share with us, in addition to IP, about the mechanism to raise funds? We think about the people, how you get the academia into business. That's first one of the biggest challenge. And can you share with the audience about that?
Yeah, our model is the first business model in the university. From 2008, our university study experience from the MIT and Tsinghua University in China. And in the proposal of our university in development proposal, our university realized that the innovations and entrepreneurship is one factor in KPI in our university. And at that time, our university must have the permission from the Vice Prime Minister, Mr. Nguyen, to do that. It's such a kind of illegal action at this moment. So I have discussed with more than 10 universities in Vietnam about this model. And I show them a lot of challenges and problems only. But I think at this moment, we approach the best way at this moment for us. The legal system, the mindset problem, the investment problem, a lot of challenges. But I think this is a good opportunity for every university to do that, because now we have the support a lot from the government, from the every organizations, from foreign organizations, and a lot of capital realize that the need of the entrepreneurship.
Thank you. And again, regarding the engagement or participation of academia into business, like the model of BK Holding, can you share with the audience about your view about the lecturers and researchers in Vietnam, because you provide several trainer workshop in Vietnam?
Yes, to the audience, first of all, Vietnam-Finland Innovation Partnership Program is an ODA-funded program that is on its last leg, so to speak. One more year to go. One of the areas of activity for IPP has been to train trainers, like we say. We have a training of trainers program where we have been training now and certifying entrepreneurship and innovation trainers from 17 universities across Vietnam. And I have personally been privileged to be part of the training and really befriend very closely with over 60 brilliant people across this beautiful country. So with that experience and from my previous experience and what I earlier now shared with all of you, I want to just start leaving some perhaps takeaways for you. One deals with owner-managers. Owner-managers. Owner-manager is a very precise term. we cannot really, at least not yet, speculate around owner-manager. We can speculate around entrepreneur. Everybody is an entrepreneur. We can go on that line. And if you have an entrepreneur mindset, if you act entrepreneurially, so we can kind of go and water down a little bit this entrepreneur concept, that everybody is entrepreneur. But owner-manager is quite specific. So you have to own something physically, you know, to be owner-manager, and then you have to manage it on a day-to-day basis to be a manager, owner-manager. So this is what entrepreneurship in action requires. Individuals will take up the responsibility of ownership and do, like Jeff was saying, doing. But they're also taking responsibility. So you don't have anybody to report to. You don't go in the morning and ask for, you know, what do I do today, and then report in the afternoon. This is something that you step up as a person alone or with others, and this owner-manager is that kind of function and role in society that Vietnam has the greatest shortage of. And let me tell you, in Europe at large, as much as I love Europe, owner-managers we sort of have shortage of, or at least those growth-oriented owner-managers. As in American English, entrepreneur is a growth-oriented owner-manager. We often go wrong with understanding this concept. But owner-managers, you know, the lecturers in universities, they are like being held back. They are employees in universities. Managers at best. And if you are an employee, if you are a manager, and you are supposed to talk to students, talk to anybody, how can you inspire, how can you make them, turn them, build them, train them to becoming owner-managers? So that's a little bit more precisely the challenge. Universities need to be able to engage trained professionals in the role of owner-manager. How is that possible? That's a question that we are here to solve. So this is something that, you know, also BK Holdings is showing the way for doing things, doing something, going out and, you know, breaking, you know, obstacles and you know, really getting special rights to just get going. But the same thing, owner-manager role is something that I would like to see more in that context. So this is just, you know, owner-manager. I wanted to leave that as a takeaway for you, because this may be something you didn't think about before.
And out of about 60 lecturers you met over several trainer workshops, how many lecturers you think they definitely become the entrepreneur?
Well, of the 60, I say, easy to say, 1/2, safe to say, have that in them. They have that in them, but obviously they are career lecturers, all of the 60, right? We could say. So if you're a career lecturer, you took on the university career, you are following that path. So now a door is being opened to you. Are you interested in that door that is opening up for you? Several of them are interested in that door that is being opened or is opening, but you know, it is difficult to take those steps if the universe doesn't, you know, take the first steps. Who should take the first step? Should these people resign and become entrepreneurs and say, well, okay, now I resign, and tomorrow I don't have a job, and now I offer myself as an entrepreneur to do what I did yesterday as an employee? Well, that's a risky thing to do. And the university says, okay, so long, I'll just hire, you know, these other people. So it is a chicken and egg problem.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your sharing. And very brief, your conclusion of Dung about the factor that the university, the second university in Vietnam could have one new BK Holding. The main factor of the university.
Take risks.
Okay. Thank you so much, and thank you for your attention, audience. Thank you, Dung and Marko.
Thank you very much.